Hello everyone, welcome to a new video tutorial. Today I will introduce a new web-based DEM generator tool. The name is DEM-Net Elevation API, and this was developed by Javier Fischer. The source code is licensed by MIT, and it's a very useful tool that I found that just by chance in Sketchfab. So the tool it's already built in for already has the Sketchfab export, and it's very useful to generate a global or to provide global elevation data and content. Already the software can already find the EN elevation data from different data sources. This is what they call a fast content pipeline, and they enable live 3D texture terrain generation, and it generates it in a STL or GITF format. So these formats are different from the traditional DEM formats, which usually are geotips or ASC, ASCII, or this simple S3 map TIFFs images that contain elevation information. But this is more like dedicated if you want to find a location and specific location in the, for example, I don't know, the highlands or the Tibet or anywhere else in the world, and you want to export the DEM directly to a Sketchfab. So the developer of this app, which is a quite interesting app, already has a video tutorial how to generate a very simple 3D terrain model from a map. It has a lot of interesting content, and I strongly suggest you to look at this video tutorial. What I found when I was following these video tutorials, I have some problems with when generating the map and generating the terrain information, and the textures were not embedded properly in the Sketchfab export. What is the reason? I don't know. Maybe something related to my computer or in general to the script. So here you can find all the required information for doing this sort of quick export from map to 3D. This is the tool. When you click here, you choose. The interface is very simple. You can choose the different digital elevation model data sources as RTM 90 meters or 30 meters, etc., Aster, NASA, etc., and how you export it. The video tutorial shows you that. But what I want to do today is, let's go back to home, is to teach you how to export from map and OpenStreetMap to the 3D, and also to correct problems when using the Sketchfab export. So it's more like a problem solving tutorial. And you can also do a GPX. So it means GPX is a file that it is generated from any GPS tracker. It can be from Strava, for example, if you use a mobile app. It can be used any other GPX file, for example, from your drones, or you can also use, for example, Etrex 35 Garmin GPX file from your GPS tracker. So for today, we're going to do the map plus OSM 3D. So this is the interface. It's very simple to use tool. You have here, you can enter the address, and you can also manually find it. So there are plenty of locations that might be interesting. Today I'm going to use a very iconic place, which is Manhattan in New York. Because it has one of the most complete and comprehensive OpenStreetMap data sources. So you will find plenty of information of buildings. There are many locations in the world that have OpenStreetMap. This is one I found that is very useful for video tutorials because it has most of the buildings ready. I found many locations have missing buildings. So this will be very useful for this tutorial. So you go back to the DEM Elevation API, and then you have to choose the extent. there is a limit of 75 megabytes in the generation of the model. I will show you. So when it is too big, well, obviously this will be there was enormous amount of data will not generate it. So if you, let's imagine you choose this size, you have the most important areas in Manhattan. You cannot cover all Manhattan, it's too big. So let's go and get it in you have different detail elevation models. The SRTM means shuttle radar topography mission. This is the 90 meters, so it's closer DM. And then you have the 30 meters RTM. These are the most common DMs available at the USGS, the US Geographical Survey, Geological Survey data. You have also the Allos World 3D, which is 30 meters, but it's nicest. That's what it says, but there is no content in some areas. And you have eTopo. This is, imagine you are covering a very large area. So this is 1 kilometer will be enough. You have the Aster, which is 1 arc second, which is equivalent to 30 meters. Aster is also very common. Global Digital Elevation Model Dataset is available for all over the world. So there's no problem. Sometimes I found in some locations the Allos World 3D doesn't work. Then you have NASA DEM, again global 1 arc second, and then you have other like this one that is 15 arc second interval. So let's go for this, the AW, the Allos World. Then we choose the OpenStreetMap settings. If you want only your terrain, I want the buildings. Use the OSM building colors, or you can customize your color. I want this to have some more interesting model. You can also load the ski. They call it pistas, which means just the ski locations. Back to the 3D settings, you can use a set multiplier. That means it's just to create an exaggeration of the DEM of the terrain of the ground. In this case, I will keep it at 1 because it's easier and more realistic. But in some locations, to make it more dramatic, you can increase this. Then you can add scale and north. I prefer to remove it because they are very bulky and big. But if you consider your model is very useful with the scale north and the scale and the north, you add it, please. And then you have different image providers. So I try some of them. Some of them are not available. Some of them are very interesting because there's just simply topographic data. I want to use the satellite without the street names, so I will use the map box and I will put the higher quality. Output, in this case, because you're using OpenStreetMap, you can only export as a binary GIF, which is a very common 3D model for Sketchfab, or if you can use ZBrush, or if you use Blender or any other modeling, or Maya or 3D Max. This is a format that will be can be read by this software. Then you put generate the model. So this will start estimating the model size, and then it's going to get an error occur because it's too big and the model is 95 megabytes because of the amount of information from the OpenStreetMap. So we have to make it the smaller parts, okay? Or just simply generate or regenerate a smaller version of this. So what I'm going to do is I want to have some of the information here. Or we can include also this part of the cell battery and Liberty status over here. Okay. And we can reduce a bit our polygon to have a little bit of Central Park, a little bit of bridges and the Brooklyn Bridge, all these things, all this information. Yeah, we have enough information here. Let's try again and see how it works. Generate the 3D model. Again, it's too big, but we are 74, so we can tweak this a little bit just to reduce the size up to here, perhaps. Let's see how it works now. Let's again generate the model. Fingers crossed this time. Yep, it's working. So it's downloading all the information. Okay. Here we go. We are downloading also the OSM models. So it takes a bit. Remember, you can donate to the program developer. You can like it. I like it. You can go to GitHub to find all the repository of the information, which is really useful. Or you can just become a patron. I don't know. I have plenty of information here. They have a community of people using this. So it's taking a little bit because it's a huge amount of information. So you just have to wait. So we generated this model. This is the estimated model, 73 megabytes. It's not big, but it takes quite a while. And don't forget that add the attribution, because this is Creative Commons. So you can use it. You have to credit the contributors. In this case, the generator, the software, the imagery, the data set, where it came, and all the information. So you see here the model is a very rough model right now. Okay, it's very generic, very simple. You may want to edit it better. So what I suggest here is just to download the data. So you can download the model. The model will be downloaded with a code. So that's the model. You can download also the data, the georeference data. This will be downloaded as a JSON. Okay, you can download the high map. It looks like this. And also the normal map, which is the normals of each point. And also the albedo. They call it albedo, but it's basically the imagery. And you can see all the detail exported from Macbox. It may not be the most updated image, satellite image collected from Landsat. So be aware of those things. So it's one of the caveats you need to consider. Now we download it there. We just right click and we save image as. We go to our downloads, and then we will call it this Manhattan, New York texture. Okay. And we can open our model and also rename our model. So we can put our model Manhattan, New York. It's useful. And also the JSON. Okay. So there are different ways here. You can go to your Sketchfab website and then upload, directly dragging and drop. If you have the texture, you may need to add the texture in a zip file or RAR file. This is one way. Another way is just you can straightforward, so the straightforward version option is just use the Sketchfab export. Let's use that one. So this will create another tab. I will put it Manhattan. Manhattan, New York, and then I will put OSM model, or just OSM. Okay, so tags we can put DEM, New York, Manhattan. What else we can use? Other can be DEM API, so they know that. That's it. And then you can put a description. We can add it later. So you can make it private. You have the pro feature. You can publish after upload. I will just put the inspectable. It means that you can edit it. So let me close this. So let's export to Sketchfab. So the exporting is happening right now. Okay. Export is ready. We just need to click on this link and we will redirect to the Sketchfab. So the model is being processed right now. It will take a while. It's not a large model, but it will take a little bit. So you can edit the properties meanwhile. You can add more information here. I just take this opportunity. Meanwhile this is happening, I show you another model that I created. This model is from Ollantaytambo in Peru. It's an archaeological site, well-known archaeological site of the Incas time. As you can see, this model was done with the same app, and I use different configurations for the sky and the model itself and the textures. I will teach you now how to do that. So this is the basic model, doesn't have OpenStreetMap information. It's just a simple model. You can see here anti-tumble. I exaggerated. No, this is the normal height, so there's no exaggeration. So you can see how dramatic is the landscape in Peru, in Cusco. So this is the archaeological site, and you can see here the Temple of the Sun, where it is this hand. So while this is happening, the model should be ready, hopefully. Let's go to models. And I have another test here, but it's still not ready. So it's taking a little bit. As soon as it's ready, you will receive an email. So you just need to wait. So I will pause the video until I get the model ready. So here it is. The model has been processed, and this is what you get. So what you get is a model that doesn't have any texture. It happened to me again that when I added the texture plus the model in a zip folder all together using the upload option in a Sketchfab, I got the same issue. How to correct for this issue? Very simple. You add the 3D settings. You start loading the model, and now we're going to start editing your 3D model. And I'm going to teach you how to tweak it. So the first app that we got is the scene itself. I suggest you here to use the background. Background can be an environment. It works better for this type of DEM models. It can be an image. See how it changed the image. It can be a color. Let's keep the environment, and let's add the ambient environment option. Okay. Once we have created that, you can also change the vertex. Let's keep it as RGB. If you want a wireframe, this is how it looks, your mesh. So it's very interesting, and you can change the color of the mesh. If you want to make your model a bit cartoonist style or cartoon style, so it's what you get. You get different ways of representing the model. It looks more like the SketchUp style model. Okay, or you can change the color as well to white to make it more dramatic, and this may be your model, and you can just leave it like that. I don't want the wireframe this time. Don't forget to save your settings. So I'm going to choose the render method. You can choose matcap or PBR. PBR is good. Shading, lit, or shadeless. Shadeless works better with clouds. Lit works better with DEM surface models, with surfaces and vertices. The view 45 is more natural. Just keep the camera like that. And now let's go to the lighting. We can use extra lights. I don't suggest it in this case. This is where you want to focus on a model, for example, a face or something like that. Ground shadows, you can add it, but it won't add shadows here only, but it also below the surface. So I'm not going to use it this time. I will show you why. You can use the environment. In the environment, you can use the studio. You can change the type of environment here, and it will automatically, because you tick this box, the ambient environment, it will affect automatically your background and at the same time the lighting. I found that this works very good with many of my models. Is the road in Dordogne, because it has this light blue and this is smooth set of gray earthy color at the bottom. So when you change the angle, as you can see, it will also modify the orientation, and it will change the coloring of the background. So you can change the orientation, as you can see, change the angle. I will keep the blue on the top because it makes more sense. Like that. That works good, I think. This is changing the source of the light. I will show you. Look, it creates automatically a very subtle and smooth shadowing Okay, so you can choose which angle. Of course, it respects north, so this is facing south, so you're not gonna get sun from the side. I am looking at the model right now because it's south facing, so you're gonna get it. I think this angle is, oh yeah, you get it? You get it because so sorry, we are in the northern hemisphere right now. So let's keep it, let's create some contrast. If this is gonna be your, let's say, hero image, or the image you're gonna save, and you want to show this as a first image, hero image, or thumbnail in your Sketchfab model. So let's find the best, I think leave it like that, 135 degrees. You can control the brightness as well. Let's keep it in 0.55. And you can also project shadows. Look, shadows on works better in this case, and also the light intensity. More intense, less intense. Let's keep it in 2.5. And the shadow bias. So if you want much hard shadows, or let's say let's keep it in the original defaulting one. Oh, it was the 0.05, I think. How it works doesn't work. It needs smaller. One. No, even smaller works better, up to there. Okay, good. Once we have done this, then we're gonna save it. We're gonna turn a little bit, and then we need to start editing the textures. For the texture, you go to materials, and then you have an option here to choose different materials: the building materials, the roads materials, and the terrain. So let's start with the terrain, and then here is highlighted the terrain. Okay, so first thing is you choose a specular or methyl-ness. I will choose methyl-ness in the PBR map. So this is basically the main characteristics. I will reduce the specular, which is just basically Fresnel, the brightness, to 0. Methyl-ness as well a little bit. And then the base color is when you can manage the texture. So you can put a color. Let's imagine you want to make a cartoon style model. You can modify here your model. Look, it's the color, or you can add a texture. You can import the texture directly here, or you can drag and drop your texture, which is more interesting. So if you grab here, let's change the color again. Let's change the color to white. This will make your life easier. And then go to the downloads, and remember I have the texture here. Well, you add it directly here. You drag and drop, and something interesting will happen. You can see the texture doesn't fit properly. But you have here the bottom of Manhattan Island, and then something is wrong. Here is it's upside down. So what we're gonna do is to correct this. Very easy. You just go to the Manhattan texture, you open it. Should be open here. So what we're gonna do is just simply flip it. I'm gonna show you how to do that. So you go here to edit. You can use any software to do that. I'm just doing the easiest way. And you rotate it completely 180 degrees, and then you flip it. Okay, and then we save. So now the texture is safe. Let's close this. So what we're gonna do here, we need to grab these manage textures. We need to delete this original texture in the base color. Check the terrain is selected, the base color is selected. Go to download, drag and drop the new texture that has been flipped and rotated. And now it matches perfectly. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is like we have an excess of white color, and that is because all the roads has been exported from OpenStreetMap, and we cannot control that in the app that I show you, the DEM-Net Elevation API. Why? Because I don't know, that's the developer thing. So what we can do here is like we can choose the road material, and again we can drag and drop the Manhattan texture. We can use the texture to add it to that material. So as you can see, it changed the color of the road. Or we can delete this texture as well, manage this texture and then delete it. Or we can also manage the transparency or the color. What I'm going to use a color. I'm going to use a gray color, as you can see here. But let's make it more interesting. Now we're going to change the transparency. So we go to the opacity, which is on, and there are different methods, okay, for managing the opacity, refraction, and additive. Let's keep it in blending, and let's reduce, because it's blending, let's reduce the opacity. So we're going to have a very, let's say, subtle color of the road. So you can increase the opacity to make it more dramatic or less. I will keep it less as possible, but just imply that there are some roads there or existing roads. And let me change again the color to a darker color so they are more evident. You can look in red if you want to highlight these sort of roads. So you can really customize your model as much as you want. I will keep it in the dark to make it just very more realistic. Now it's time for editing the textures of the buildings. Again, you can drag the color of the texture, but I found that because you don't have the information of the vertical surfaces, which is a different type of texture, it will look very awkward. Okay, the software will try this just to stretch all the texture from the aerial view and try to match vertical and horizontal surface, so it doesn't look good. And you can change your specular as well, and you can change the statue is not here. It will have been very nice. So you can see here the connections that looks like a little bit they are underground. These are the metro lines. They are also part of the transport, and this is another one going underneath the river. So what we're gonna do, in fact, is just to keep the buildings as they are, because some of them are colorful. But notice that there are a lot of buildings overlapping with each other, and this is when different contributors in the OpenStreetMap had just added one building on top of each other. So this tool is just grabbing all the OSM buildings as they are available. They are colored in different ways, but it gives some diversity. If you want to color all of them with a single color, well, you may need to change some of the values here. I think this is the base color. You may need to change also the in the DEM tool in the app. You may need to change here. Know the OSM. You need to untick this. Then you put a default building color white, and then re-export everything. Okay. Otherwise, what happens is when you go to the Sketchfab and you try to change the color, it will recolor everything. But using the original color that has already been inherited from the DEM app. We can do this. We can change some color and make it more dramatic, or go into the blues. Well, it's very interesting, pinkish, reddish, because there are a lot of buildings. It looks quite invasive. If you keep it in the grayish, it will be more like natural color. So I will put it a gray color. That's it, not too intense. And that's all. Now we go back to the terrain, and I want to change a little bit aspects of the terrain because we can improve it. So we're gonna, you can create a subsurface scattering. You can clear a new clear code on top of that can be darker, for example, or different reflectivity values. So there are different roughness of the surface, etc. You can also change the transparency look of the, so interesting, of the texture. So what I'm going to do is I choose here a color that can be darker. Oh, sorry, a texture. And we're gonna, oh gosh, Let's go to the texture. Choose the texture. I will choose this texture, and then you can change the color until it becomes darker or complete. So it's very light color. I want to darken it a little bit, and these are the way it is wrapped. So just leave it as it is. And the specular will be lighter or darker. Methyleness the same. So I will increase this methyleness a little bit, and I will leave it like that. So I think it looks fine. But now I can, with the textures and the colors, now I can save the settings, and I can correct a little bit the lighting, because I lit a little bit more brightness. So I will put it in 1.05. And I want to correct for the orientation a bit, because this is the angle that I want to show my model. So if this is the angle, I just zoom in a little bit. Let's say there. That is the most dramatic angle, perhaps. Yeah, looks interesting. And I save the view, the thumbnail. Okay. And maybe up a little bit. I will save again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to correct orientation here to have the best shadows or shades. This is too bright, for example. We can have it from this angle. No, this angle works better. I think like this. So to have some contrast in some, it's not working anyway. Yeah, 180 here. I think this is quite good. 145 I want. Okay. Now when you start changing the angle, it's still working well. Working well. Well, he is pretty bright, but it's still fine. Still fine. Okay, I like this. I like this angle. Oh, this is even better than the previous one, because you see you cover all the information. This is very beautiful. I think I will keep this. And another thing you can try is in the post-processing filters, add some deep depth of field. Okay, so the foreground, I will put it in 0.2, sorry, and background in 0.3, not to make it too obvious. So then is when you get a little bit of interesting depth of field. Let's see if I can do a bit more using this angle. That is very good, very useful. No, let me approach a little bit more. So my background should be 0.35 perhaps. Okay, now looks good. Now looks good. I will save this image. So this will be my thumbnail. Good. And also you can add some of the vignette. The vignette, what it's going to create is a lens effect around it, as you can see. You can create the amount if you want to focus on one point, or the hardness if you want to make it, let's say, more defined. You do this vignette, so you will always see the model. Look, just in this way. It's a bit awkward. So let's reduce the hardness and the amount as well to just limit it to the corners. That's okay. That looks good. You can add bloom. That's when you have light sources, works better, but we don't have light sources anywhere. Sharpness is also interesting because it will make more, let's say, clear, and the geometries will be more like sort of defined. So we work with the sharpness. We reduce it to 0.15. That's it. I think it's good enough. We save the settings. And then you can add annotations. And I think I have other tutorials showing how to add annotations. You can add also sort of ambient occlusion options like these ones to create more dramatic views or representations. You can test and try different options. Space reflections, you don't need that right now. Grain, if you want to add some granularity. I don't think it looks good in this case. With this, it will be more than enough. I change a little bit, save my view. Let's see how it looked. Very good. Save my settings, and then we publish it. And then we got our model ready. Then you can edit and test other options. Add sounds as well. If you have sounds of Manhattan or music, you can add it as well. There are new apps, there are new options there. Here we go. So it takes a little bit until you load all the textures, and here we are. So you can see the connections on the water, the transport routes, the highways, some of the buildings around, and you can see zero ground here, some iconic locations and buildings. Some buildings, of course, are not updated. New World Trade Center building, and you can test the depth of field. So let's focus on this, and yes, we got it. Then we have the model. So this is it. I hope you have enjoyed watching this tutorial. Of course, we have to acknowledge the developer of this tool, which is a fantastic tool. Then I hope you can test new locations, new options. It's quite interesting tool. I recommend you to try it, publish your Sketchfab model. So until next tutorial, see you then, and have a good time. Bye-bye.